Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports, here for another daily live news video. Yeah, once again, a lot of news to talk about. I'm sure everyone will be quite interested from the title of the video here today. Yuki Tsunoda faces a Red Bull style demotion threat as Daniel Ricciardo and Liam Lawson make AlphaTauri Dream Team for 2024. It was the much-awaited restart of the Formula 1 season in Zandvoort when Daniel Ricciardo fractured his hand during FP1. In the two races he had driven before his injury, Ricciardo showed just how good he can be when in a positive environment. The AlphaTauri team was lucky enough to have Liam Lawson, though, travelling with them, giving way for a surprise Formula 1 debut for the New Zealander-born driver. Considering the circumstances around his debut, Lawson had a positive start to his career. With impressive performances, Red Bull is more than happy with the oceanic neighbours, ringing the sound of distress for Yuki Tsunoda. When Tsunoda had Nick de Vries as his partner, he had much less to worry about, given de Vries's subpar performances. However, with Ricciardo's addition, the AlphaTauri camp dynamics changed quickly, with neck-to-neck competition between the new teammates. Now the Japanese driver faces another challenge in Lawson, who is equaling him in every step, despite being less experienced. AlphaTauri has had 4 drivers this season, which is more than the points they currently have in the Drivers' Championship. Despite Tsunoda being the only driver to bring in points in the team, Lawson and Ricciardo's short stints have had a heavy impact on the team, with the recent results even giving room for rumours of the duo being the preferred driver lineup for AlphaTauri in 2024. Should this be the case, Tsunoda will move to Red Bull Racing as their reserve driver, and will have the testing and sim duties on his shoulders, making it an Alex Albon situation for him. With Ricciardo a part of their team, AlphaTauri will have some much-needed experience in their driver lineup, which will also help Lawson learn the ropes in his first few years with the team. The dynamic would mean AlphaTauri will have the best of both worlds as they continue to improve as a team. In 2019, Red Bull announced the signing of Alex Albon to replace Pierre Gasly as Max Verstappen's counterpart. However, after failing to keep up with the Dutchman, Albon had to become the team's reserve driver, with Sergio Perez taking up his seat in 2021. The following year, after George Russell vacated the Williams seat, Red Bull fought hard for Albon to replace him, and now the Thai driver is having one of the best seasons of his career. With Tsunoda potentially becoming Red Bull's reserve driver, the example of Alex Albon could provide him with the hope of a continued career in Formula 1. However, a case can be made for whether or not the Japanese driver would want to be in that situation. For now though, all he can do is perform to the best of his abilities and hope for the best. Certainly would be sad to see Yuki Tsunoda act from that AlphaTauri team, but if there are drivers performing at a better level, then you'd have to understand why he is getting taken out of that AlphaTauri seat. We'll have to wait and see though what happens in 2024, but very, very interesting to see what does happen. I do have a poll there running at the moment in the comment section asking who do you see in the AlphaTauri seats next year. Your options are Tsunoda Ricciardo as option 1, Lawson Ricciardo as option 2, Lawson Tsunoda as option 3, which currently has no votes, and then other for option 4. Please do be sure to go and vote in that poll, as well as to join us and commenting in the comment section. Let me know where you're watching alongside from, and let me know any questions that you may have for me here today. I'd love to answer any of those for you guys in the comment section. Moving on though to our next article, speaking a little bit about Daniel Ricciardo and his return to Formula 1 in the Singapore Grand Prix. AlphaTauri confirms Ricciardo won't race Singapore Formula 1 round, but will be present. Daniel Ricciardo will attend Formula 1's Singapore Grand Prix, but will only work with AlphaTauri in an engineering capacity, as he continues his recovery from a broken hand. Ricciardo has been absent from his stunted Formula 1 comeback since the early stages of the Dutch Grand Prix 3 weeks ago, where he broke a metacarpal in his left hand in a crash at the Hugenholtz corner in second practice. He underwent surgery on his injury 2 days later, as he was replaced for the event in Zandvoort by Red Bull Junior driver and 2023 Super Formula title contender Liam Lawson. Lawson has continued to deputise in Ricciardo's place a week later at the Italian Grand Prix, as well as this weekend yet again in Singapore. The scene of Ricciardo's most recent Formula 1 victory back in 2021, when racing for McLaren, which was of course in Monza, where Red Bull team boss Christian Horner suggested Ricciardo may miss 4 races in total and may only return at the Qatar round in early October due to the time needed in his recovery process. Ahead of this week's Singapore Grand Prix race though, AlphaTauri's official pre-event media preview confirmed that Ricciardo will be present with the team in Singapore, only for engineering purposes though. The team gave no mention of Ricciardo's plans for the Japanese Grand Prix next week though. In the same press release, Lawson, who finished 11th last time out at his Monza outing, having pushed teammate Yuki Tsunoda close in qualifying too, said he definitely felt more comfortable in Monza than in Zandvoort, even if there's still a lot to learn. He added, "When you get more comfortable in these kind of cars, it can make quite a big difference. Having done 2 races now, I'm also getting a better understanding of the difference between the tyre compounds, which is so important. I'd say Monza was pretty successful, even if it was disappointing to finish so close to the points. I think if I had a better start, perhaps things could have been a bit different, but it is something that I will learn from, and I'm just excited moving forward. I know this is a very tough race physically, and when you get thrown into Formula 1 in this situation, even with all the training in the world, it's still such a tough adjustment. It's going to be very difficult, but we've had a lot of training for it and doing everything we can to prepare for it. Last year, I experienced the nighttime routine as Red Bull's reserve driver. It's cool, to be honest, to go through a weekend like that. It's a bit different to normal. Obviously, the biggest adjustments will be getting used to the track, as I've only driven it on the sim, and street circuits are probably the hardest to replicate. They take confidence, and when you're new to the track, or even in my situation being new to Formula 1, having that confidence early in the weekend is pretty tricky. I'll be aiming to build up as many laps as we can, a bit like Monza, to be honest. That was the target there, and it will be a similar sort of thing this weekend. Generally, I like street circuits. For example, I absolutely love Monaco, so I'm expecting to enjoy Singapore too. Well, glad that we'll have Daniel Ricciardo back in Formula 1 and back in the Formula 1 paddock this race weekend in Singapore, and certainly looking forward to seeing what Liam Lawson can do this race weekend. I think, as he says he quite enjoys street circuits, we'll be waiting and watching to see whether he'll be able to have a good race weekend out here in Singapore. It's a very difficult track, but if anyone can do it, I think the rookie of Liam Lawson should be. Moving on though to another Red Bull based article, how Red Bull can win the Constructors' Championship in Singapore this race weekend. Just jumping to the comment section quickly, I see Mark is there saying hello. Thank you very much for saying hi there, Mark. I see we do have a couple people though in the comment section. Do be sure to just let me know where you're watching from and say hi. Moving on though with this article, Red Bull's dominant Formula 1 season could see it clinch its first title of the year in Singapore this weekend. For the first time this season, Red Bull can walk away from a race weekend with the Constructors' Championship clinched. The Singapore Grand Prix hosts the 15th round of the current campaign, with the Marina Bay circuit offering a unique challenge to the drivers. Red Bull is currently enjoying a dominant campaign, with having won 14 races so far. 12 of those victories have gone the way of Max Verstappen, who is currently streaking towards his 3rd Formula 1 title. Verstappen's highly impressive campaign has seen the Dutchman claim the last 10 race victories, setting a new record for the most consecutive wins in Formula 1 history. However, he is yet to triumph in Singapore. Red Bull also holds the record for the most wins by a team in a row, with its Monza victory increasing its tally to 15, stretching back to last year's season finale at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Currently, Red Bull holds a sizable lead over Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship, with the German manufacturer a mammoth 310 points behind them. After the Singapore Grand Prix, there will be 353 points left on the Constructors' table across the remaining races of the season. It means that Red Bull must outscore Mercedes by 43 points to secure its first back-to-back titles since 2012 to 2013. The only way to do this is for Verstappen and Sergio Perez to finish a 1-2 to earn 44 points, with Mercedes not scoring a single point. Alternatively, should a Mercedes finish in 10th place and take 1 point, Red Bull would also need the fastest lap bonus point, in addition to a 1-2 to wrap up its 6th Constructors' Crown. So highly unlikely that could happen this race weekend, but it is still a possible statistic for the Singapore Grand Prix that Red Bull could take their second back-to-back championship. We'll see what happens though. Moving on though to Toto Wolff. Wolff has claimed Hamilton lost the 2021 championship over a targeted Formula 1 rule change. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff has claimed that Lewis Hamilton lost the Drivers' Championship in the 2021 season due to an F1 regulation change which targeted the Silver Arrows. After a standout 2022 season or 2020 season where the Silver Arrows dominated the competition, Lewis Hamilton finished 124 points ahead of his teammate Valtteri Bottas, on 347 points to equal Michael Schumacher's record for the most world championships. Speaking to Sky Sports, Wolff claimed Formula 1 altered the regulations in order to help their opponents close the gap. 2020 had been a super dominant year for us, said the Austrian CEO. I think it was the best car we've ever had. Then, towards the end of the season, they changed the regulations by cutting the floor, and that was to stop us. While the ever-controversial 2021 finale at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix remains a big reason why Mercedes lost the Drivers' Championship, Wolff believes a broader Formula 1 regulation change were made in order to stop them. We lost the 2021 Drivers' Championship for many reasons, he said. One was the final race, but we also lost it because those regulations were set in place in order to reduce the advantage we had. Mercedes faced fierce competition from Red Bull throughout the 2021 season, and Wolff believes that regulatory changes played a crucial role in resetting the competitive landscape. We saw the results in 2021. We were not as competitive as Red Bull was, he said. But at Silverstone, we unlocked more potential of the car and got ourselves back in the championship. These regulations were targeted to reset the pecking order. Currently, with a lot of talk being around different championships of the past, there's a lot of people calling for Schumacher to lose his first championship. Of course, there's Massa trying to get back his 2008 championship. People always calling for Lewis Hamilton to try and get back his 2021 championship. Just a lot going on at the moment, and I don't know if we necessarily should ever go back and change the results of former championships and titles, because I think it's in the past. Sure, there may have been controversy, but that is what the sport is all about. We want to remember what happened in the past and maybe learn from it rather than having to go back and change it. We'll still have to wait and see, though, what does happen with that 2008 scandal and championship with Massa and Hamilton. Mark just saying there, why can't Wolff just keep quiet? Man just cried at the moment. As well as saying, lol, imagine Red Bull somehow do win this weekend. Would be down to all the others messing up badly. Yes, it would be down to others messing up badly. I also have a little bit of news about the weather this race weekend. That could also be coming into play. Moving on, though, to another article. Formula 1 news. Sebastian Vettel teases a Japanese Grand Prix return. Red Bull and Sebastian Vettel have planned something special. Always with special. I always say special. Red Bull and Sebastian Vettel have planned something special for Suzuka. Reports are that four-time Formula 1 championship winner Sebastian Vettel could be returning to the Formula 1 paddock this year at his favourite Suzuka Grand Prix circuit for the Japanese Grand Prix. Vettel took part last weekend at the Red Bull Nürburgring event, where he drove around the legendary Nordschleife circuit in his Red Bull RB7. The retired driver relived his Formula 1 days during the event as his Formula 1 car roared through the green hell after 10 long years. After the event, he revealed that the motive to participate in it was to inspire people to have fun in a more responsible way. His initiative, called Race Without Trace, aims to raise awareness of the benefits of sustainable fuels. Suzuka is a circuit that Vettel has a soft corner for, and he seems to have mastered it well, as he had won his second title there in 2011. Not only that, but during his run with Red Bull, Vettel won all 4 races in Suzuka from 2009 to 2012. After announcing his retirement last year, Vettel revealed that if he was given the chance to race in Suzuka again, he would seriously consider the opportunity as a once-off comeback to Formula 1. From the looks of it, Red Bull seems to have paid attention to his words, as the 36-year-old is all set to be with the team in Suzuka. Although he was racing for Aston Martin in the last season of his career in Formula 1, from a recent tweet with Red Bull Racing Daily on X, it looks like the Milton Keynes-based outfit and Vettel have an event planned at Suzuka. Fans could expect some high-speed drama at the event, with Vettel most probably racing around the circuit in his RB7 Formula 1 car. But the nature of the event still remains a mystery. On the Red Bull Racing Daily Twitter or X page, they had a tweet that said Sebastian Vettel and Formula 1 are planning something for the Japanese Grand Prix. He has also revealed that he is also a little nervous about the planned special event in Japan. The news broke out after Vettel revealed to a reporter from Sports Show that there would be a special event in Japan that he was a little nervous about. However, the details of the event have been kept a secret, maybe to surprise the fans. I'm not sure if his presence at Suzuka would be solely for the promotion of his initiative, and is Vettel planning a Formula 1 comeback anytime soon? Only time will tell. I'd love to get Sebastian Vettel back in Formula 1 in the future. He is only 36 years old. He's younger than Lewis Hamilton. He's younger than, of course, Fernando Alonso. I'd love to see him back in the sport. It would be a great addition I'd love to see him maybe in Audi having Mick Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel. Could you imagine? That would be a phenomenal driver lineup. Moving on though to our final 4 articles now of the day, McLaren have revealed a special stealth mode car livery for the Singapore and Japanese races. McLaren will use a new livery design at the upcoming back-to-back Grand Prix weekends in Singapore and Japan, as the team continue to celebrate their 60th birthday year on and off the track. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri will contest 2 races with what has been described as a stealth mode scheme, switching McLaren's usual colorway and augmenting black against the car's classic papaya trim. The livery has been co-designed by McLaren and OKX, a Web3 technology company and official partner of the working squad, representing how both brands strive for excellence while embracing change and innovation. Alongside the livery, a limited edition t-shirt will be made available throughout the McLaren store, and a limited giveaway for attendees of the Token 2049, the Web3 conference taking place in Singapore prior to the race. OKX will also be hosting a McLaren-themed fan zone in Singapore from Thursday, September 14th to Sunday, September 17th, featuring a stealth mode show car, racing simulators, giveaways, and special guests over the weekend. Very exciting. I always enjoy seeing different and exciting different stealth and different liveries on these cars this year. I've really enjoyed the different liveries that McLaren have done. I think this is their 4th of the year. There was the triple crown livery that they revealed close to the year. There's been their normal livery, there's been the chrome livery, and now this livery. So yes, that is the 4th livery for McLaren this year. Very exciting. Glad to see that they are changing things up a little bit and just making things a little bit more exciting for the fans this year. I think their car could be quite fast with this edition because, they're taking off a lot of paint, so their cars are ever so slightly lighter, and we'll have to wait and see whether they're going to be quite competitive in Singapore this race weekend. I'm certainly hoping they are going to be. Marksbox saying there in the comment section, only if that McLaren livery didn't have the Google wheels. I agree. Also saying there, Vettel coming back at his favourite track. Very exciting for Sebastian Vettel, of course. Moving on though to our weather prediction for this Grand Prix race weekend, 2023 Formula 1 Singapore Grand Prix weather forecast. After a dry weekend at Monza last time out, will rain return for the round at Singapore? This weekend, the Marina Bay Circuit plays host to the Singapore Grand Prix, the 15th round of the current Formula 1 campaign. After the first completely dry weekend for some time, the last time out at Monza, rain could return for the Singapore event and add a further challenge for the drivers. Singapore has a tropical climate, which makes it hot and humid all year round. The daily maximum temperature is between 30 and 34 degrees Celsius, and at night it rarely gets colder than 25 degrees Celsius. Daily showers are common, and there's sometimes the threat of thunderstorms in the area. According to our friends at weareonline.com, Friday practice is expected to be dry. The chance of showers, though, is small, resting at around 20%, and the temperature will rise to around 33 degrees Celsius at the hottest time of the day. However, over the weekend, the threat of rain will increase. On Saturday, the day of qualifying, there will be a 40% chance of a shower at the track. On Sunday, more showers will develop in the region, and the chance of rainfall is over 60%. However, most of the showers will fall in the afternoon. As both qualifying and the races do not start until the evening hours, it does not appear as though the track will be heavily saturated for those sessions. On both Saturday and Sunday, temperatures will rise to 32 or 33 degrees Celsius. Once the race commences, the sun will have already set, but the temperature will not cease much. At the start of the Grand Prix, which is scheduled for 8 PM local time, it is expected to be 29 or 30 degrees Celsius. Yes, hopefully the weather does not affect the Grand Prix all that much this race weekend, although saying that, I think rain could make the race quite exciting on Sunday. We do have 60% chance of rain, but it is expected to fall more likely during the day rather than during the night when the race is taking part. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, and yeah, hopefully we do get some exciting weather making its way over the track, because I think that it could just make some really, really exciting action out on track for all of us, viewers and commentators alike. So moving on though to the FIA, the FIA has revealed plans for more aggressive Formula 1 wheel cover solutions for their next spray tests. The FIA says its next planned test with spray guards on a Formula 1 car will feature a much more aggressive solution that completely covers the wheels. A first trial of an idea in Silverstone in July did not yield the results hoped for, with the wheel fairings used only reducing the spray thrown up by a small amount. Formula 1 chiefs know that a much bigger step is required if they are to limit spray enough to help cars race more in rainy conditions. The FIA's single-seater director, Nicholas Tombazis, has explained that following analysis of what happened at Silverstone, the next test will be with a much different design. What was done at Silverstone, with the help of Mercedes, who created parts, and McLaren, who ran a car to get feedback on spray, was perhaps too optimistic an experiment, Tombazis revealed. The spray guards covered a little bit too little of the wheel. I was quite skeptical and imagined that we wouldn't see important results, he added. In the next tests we carry out, we will test complete coverage of the wheel, going even beyond what would be needed to understand what the threshold is at which the spray forms. Then we will decide which path to take. Tombazis has explained just how complicated finding a solution is, with the excessive spray thrown up by Formula 1 cars being triggered by different factors. The first is from the water that is extracted from the tyres and shot upwards, he said. A second effect derives from the accumulation of water beneath the wheel and the asphalt in the tyre squirt area, which is between the wheel and floor edge, which is sucked up into the diffuser. The third effect is given by the water that stagnates in the cracks and in the ground and under pressure of the diffuser is sucked up and expelled. He added, "We believe that the spray coming from the wheels corresponds to approximately 40% of the total. If we were able to limit this phenomenon, it is clear that the drivers would not have complete visibility, but there would be a significant improvement." Tombazis had said the FIA has been looking at tools used by road car industry to simulate wet weather conditions when it comes to ensuring safety. "We have done some simulations, and they are tools that are often used in the production car industry, for example checking visibility for rear view mirrors, but these tools must be calibrated well to have a good correlation. The car manufacturers carry out very extensive calibration, as they do not have testing restrictions and do not have to deal with an FIA, which imposes constraints. They can act freely. We do not have the possibility to carry out frequent tests, so with limited activities, it is not easy to find the right calibrations. The deterioration can vary greatly, he said. In some configurations we tried, it was almost zero, while in the most extreme solutions we tested in the tunnel, we saw a loss of up to 80 points, which can be worth 2 or 3 seconds in lap time. But honestly, we don't really care about the performance threshold, although the teams are definitely watching it. In the Silverstone test, the solution tested had the lowest possible aerodynamic impact. Formula 1 CEO Stefano Domenicali suggested recently that that one other idea being looked at to reduce the spray was in relation to limiting the amount of water thrown up by the diffuser. Some cover could be possible, but Tombazis has ruled out interfering with specific design aspects in the tire squirt area. It will take a lot of work from the teams, he said. Ideally, we would like to intervene with a solution that is put on and taken off only when there is a wet monsoon, which is perhaps once or twice a year. We prefer not to have to touch the machines. Other ideas may possibly be developed for the 2026 regulations. So very interesting to see there what is happening in terms of the teams developing these, or the FIA developing these solutions for the spray that is thrown up by the cars in really wet weather conditions. Hopefully they're able to come up with a solution that does help reduce the spray from the cars, because it does really limit the amount of racing that we can do in certain track conditions when it is too wet out there. Moving on though to our final article for you guys here today, Sergio Perez admits he needs to be very strong mentally to survive at Red Bull. Sergio Perez has admitted that any driver who is a Red Bull teammate to Max Verstappen cannot hope to survive without possessing great mental strength. After Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon struggled to contend with the performance level of Verstappen, Perez was next to give it a shot, as Red Bull brought him in ahead of the 2021 campaign. But even Perez, the highly regarded Formula 1 veteran, has had his lows alongside Verstappen. Arguably, the lowest of lows coming in his Formula 1 2023 season, as his targeted title challenge fell apart as his performance fell off a cliff. The Mexican racer has begun to steady the ship in recent rounds, making the podium 3 times over the past 4 races, having withstood a torrent of speculation over his Red Bull future. The team repeatedly affirming that their commitment to Perez until the end of 2024 at least, and have been asked by Motorsports what it is like to be a Red Bull driver in that seat next to Max Verstappen. Perez replied, "It is tough, but if you want to drive for Red Bull, you have to live with it and be very strong mentally to survive it. We all have to appreciate what Max is doing, the level at which he is driving at the moment. It is extremely high. To give 100% every weekend, no matter what the conditions are. When you're his teammate, it is hard to digest." But while the results have picked up for Perez, there is still an alarming performance gap, which has opened up between he and Verstappen. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff called it a bizarre moment when Perez qualified 1.3 seconds slower than Verstappen at the Dutch Grand Prix, while last time out at Monza, Verstappen was almost 4/10 faster than his teammate come to end of qualifying, while on race day, Perez fought back against the Ferraris to score a Red Bull 1-2 podium. Verstappen claimed victory for a record-breaking 10th Grand Prix victory in a row, and as for where Verstappen is finding so much time over Perez in the same car, Perez suggested mainly in the fast corners, but there is no clear pattern. Then put him that Verstappen has no issues with oversteer, but he does. Perez replied, "Let's put it in this way. When the car tends to oversteer, the distance between us increases. The other way around, I'm much closer." Verstappen is now marching towards his 3rd World Championship in as many seasons, with his lead over Perez standing at 145 points, meaning P2 is now the best that Perez realistically can do. Still, that would satisfy Red Bull. the team has yet to experience a 1-2 finish in the driver's standings. Perez has not thrown in the towel just yet against Verstappen though, confirming that with 8 rounds of the season still to go, he is targeting adding a couple more wins to his current tally of 2. To find the form I had at the start of the season and a few more races, said Perez, of his goal for the remainder of the season. To find the form I had at the start of the season and win a few more races, said Perez of his goal for the remainder of the season. Red Bull can potentially secure the 2023 Constructors' Championship title already in Singapore if the results go their way. So, certainly very, very interesting to see the challenges that Sergio Perez currently has in that Red Bull seat alongside Max Verstappen. I can only imagine how difficult it must be to have to deal with a teammate like Max Verstappen, who is extremely consistent week in and week out. It's not easy for the likes of Sergio Perez coming in as that second driver in the team, but he has done really, really well nonetheless with the amount of pressure that is on him in that seat. That will be it though from me here today for Formula 1 news. Thank you very much for watching alongside with us. I see we do have Ashke Diman there saying FIA are trying to make the cars slower again. Yes, I have spoken about that at length. Do be sure to go and check my YouTube shorts. There's a lot of other YouTube clips that I've done speaking about the new FIA technical directive that is being brought in from this weekend onwards. Do be sure to go and check that out on our YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel as well, do be sure to go and hit that subscribe button. And yes, we hope to see you in the next video. Of course, we do have the Formula 1 Grand Prix, the Singapore Grand Prix, starting again next weekend, which is very exciting. Or not next weekend, tomorrow afternoon, which I'm very excited for. And I hope to see all of you alongside with us for that Grand Prix. Thank you very much, though, for watching this video with me. I have been Reece here for Forever Motorsports.